Had I known that Republique would take 4 years, a team that would eventually grow to about 35 people, and $6 million, I don't think I would have even started.
Like the scope of that, making like a true random guard, because like.
So early on, it was a struggle to collect a team to develop Republique because we're a brand new studio. We don't have any success under our belt. We can't pay big salaries. I was able to rally like a really great group of people.
Friend of a friend was like, I heard of this company and they just launched this like successful Kickstarter and you should check it out, and they're looking for an animator. And I looked them up and I was like, oh, it's a stealth action game and I love those, and this could be it. I've been unemployed for so long, like, here we go. This is the one I'm really excited about.
I was in school at the time. When I heard the news that Ryan had left Microsoft and was starting his own company, I just kind of like cold emailed. I said, I don't know what you guys are working on or what you got going on, but if you need a summer intern, I'll do anything.
I was lucky because, you know, they interviewed me at the coffee shop, which was really casual.
So next to our early offices was Top Pot Donuts. And so, you know, I would pretty much just eat Top Pot for lunch. I would eat donuts for lunch each day, which is obviously not healthy.
Met up for coffee and he was like, so like, what are you interested in? Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, hey, you know, I'd like to work at a game company and do some game design. He's like, okay, sweet.
And then Ryan was like, yeah, so when do you want to start? And I was like, oh, so I have the job?
Ryan would, you know, meet people there and get them to buy into Camouflaj, then accept the offer, then take them over to the office.
Our office was a dilapidated old bank building.
So, yeah, this is Camouflaj. We've got some really cheap rent. It's just like a nice open space where we can get a lot of work done.
The ceilings had caved in.
Not very clean.
We had a bathroom with a toilet that didn't really flush, it just kind of spun around.
Wires just hanging from the ceiling.
I have all of the internets coming through this pipe.
It's pretty sweet.
Everybody has to talk to me to get their internet.
Daisy chaining, extension cords.
Not enough power for everyone's machine.
Rolling power outages.
Ryan bought a satellite dish. We were siphoning Wi-Fi from his building, which is right above where the office was.
We were packing people literally elbow to elbow.
Close to 35 people crammed into that space.
Sardines come to mind.
It's very cozy.
And everybody had a couple computers and 2 or 3 monitors.
It was hot.
We had no AC.
As the team was growing, literally breaking down walls.
Violating so many codes.
And there was construction happening constantly around us. Desk would just start vibrating for like 2 hours.
Our office rent per month was about $800.
I guess you get what you pay for. You know, we're in downtown Bellevue, which is pretty great, so.
It was really appropriate for us to be there because it represented a small, struggling company, and certainly we were that.
Mocap data, so on Caitlin, we're going to set up the Camouflaj actor, also start to process the gameplay animation that we mocap and implement to a polished state and bring it in.
In a relative sense, Republique was fairly cheap, and we operate our studio very much like an indie studio. I wasn't paying myself very much, we weren't paying ourselves very much, and so early on we had a fiercely independent spirit.
There being kind of a flat structure, very little formality, very little role definition beyond what was absolutely necessary. Hey, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of that. I loved it as somebody who didn't fit into any of the super well-defined traditional game development roles. When I started interning at Camouflaj, I was getting people coffee, bringing people lunch.
We had 2 people starting on Monday and we need desks. Running IKEA and buying like the cheapest desk possible.
Pete Boss, we got a full house.
Yo. So if we had another 8 inches about here.
Move his space.
Jeremy's going to need to be able to move back.
So I'm thinking 4 feet wide. I don't think that's 4 feet right here.
I was like trying to help run meetings.
So we have the switch, and then we have like the numbered cubes that count down to like. Have you seen it, right?
No, I know that part.
So I came up with like ordering PC parts on Newegg and building PCs. I'd never built a PC before.
I did a paper prototype of Republique with pen and paper and dice.
Basically anything we needed done. Every day, waking up, I would like grab the device. We had like, whatever iPhones, iPads, like whatever. I would get the new build and just test it, and then we'd find bugs.
I had just come on to the project. We had one cinematic that was finished that they had used for the Kickstarter, and I was going to my first mocap shoot with these actors.
We are rolling.
You're a long way from your room, child.
I'm not a child, and I'm not going back to my room.
Don't worry, we're not bringing you there.
Cut.
There's all these systems, and now I have to learn how to apply that to the characters, and I haven't done that before. And like someone is running me through it, but they're only telling me it once, and I have to remember it. It was a lot to kind of jump into. A lot of the veterans that we worked with, they would kind of come in and be like, "This is so refreshing," we're like, "I'm back to like my indie roots, away from the corporations." But yeah, it felt scrappy.
I had experience with working in motion capture when I worked at Monolith. Caitlin and I and Brendan were sort of like this 3-headed monster. Brendan would write these elaborate scenes, and then he'd get together with Caitlin and I, and we would discuss the cinematics and how they would play out. Most of the people that were working there were young, sort of fresh out of school, not a lot of experience, but super talented, just hungry. And then there were a few older people, such as myself, who were there to mentor.
Since you have to go through so many things here.
Oh, like if...
Because these 2 checks are faster than this check. And you have no, like, in fact, you could put all of these on one if, right?
Oh, okay.
And I would do this one last.
Okay.
The people that worked there were all there for a reason, and it's because they believed in the project, and because of Ryan, and because of Brendan Murphy, and your belief that they were really making something special.
Early on with Republique, it was just Ryan and I beating out the story.
He could even say like, "Hello, I'm Cooper. You may remember me from the guy who gave you the tour of the facility."
Yeah.
I mean, is that too on the nose, or is it like...
That's good. In writing a movie script, an explosion happens, and you don't pay any thought to, is that explosion going to be CGI, or is it going to be practical effects or whatever. In a game, however, I had to sort of rethink the sort of details based on what was achievable, given like the amount of time we had and the budget we had.
Unqualified disaster. And on the eve of the arrival, no less.
Everything is fine, sir.
Fine?
There's this moment where we meet the villain for the first time, the Overseer, and he was going to have this kind of grand entrance where he's going to like walk into his office by like pushing open these French doors. And then I was told, well, we can't animate hinges on a door. We don't have the budget for that right now. So the doors need to be like Star Trek doors, like shoo, shoo. The storytellers of a game are actually not the writers, I believe. I think the storytellers of a game are the designers.
We wanted Hope to feel like she was alive. The thing we were trying to simulate was you as this person who can see her through all of these security cameras, telling her what to do and where to go. Touch somewhere on the screen, and we're simulating that.
Look at today's build. Last night we took a look and just so much improvement get in. I was very impressed, and I remember Greg was saying, "I want to take this to show my family now," right? So I feel like it's kind of a tipping point that we finally reached, that people start to see how good the game can look.
Cool. So we gonna play?
Let's do it. I want to say early development days of Republique, I thought that we could make the whole game for somewhere between like $1 to $2 million, which was a lot of money. I knew that we're going to need to get some help. But yeah, it's, at the end of the day, it ended up coming about 3 or 4 times that.
The other thing is, we have Jeff in today. We're going to be out meeting with our law firm, and I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but I'm sure it's going to be very exciting. Sounds like fun.
At a certain point, it became evident to us that it's going to be a miracle if we can complete this game. So we need to scale this thing down. We realized that we were not going to ship Republique as one product. It was going to have to be episodic.
We had to do it because we did not have the cash flow to build out the entire game as Ryan envisioned it to be. Well, we wouldn't have survived.
By just focusing on episode 1 for $4.99 on the App Store and then shipping the season pass for $15, we can actually get the revenue that's required to help us finish the rest of the game.
I remember talking to Ryan at one point. He's like, how well do you think this game's gonna do, right? In total, just give me your, in terms of gross revenue, just how much, and he was like, maybe 4 or 5 million. And I was like, Ryan, if this game does half of that, okay, it's gonna be a major victory.
But I had an interesting conversation with Bernice this morning about that, where I agree with her that, there's this danger if we keep working on the demo, like the game's not gonna get done.
When we were missing our production deadlines, that it was taking us longer and longer to make the game. And the truth is, if Robert Payton hadn't come in, Ryan's dad, the company wouldn't have lasted a year.
That's the biggest ask I have for you guys, is to be thinking about the clarity of the operation. Because I think if we're all clear on the same page, I have a high degree of confidence we have the right people in the room to deliver. Right? And then the pressure will come for us to make sure we can actually finish the game next year on time. So I think if you guys can deliver by year end and by GDC, I think we can deliver to the fans the game that we promised.
The vibe in the studio was a mix of excitement and joy, and the stresses that come along with having a startup.
You lie? He also doesn't
There was really an amazing sense of camaraderie, and we're all pushing late, pushing nights, just watching this thing that we've been working on so hard come together. It was really exciting, actually.
The thing I remember very vividly is the night we finally uploaded it to Apple.
We are cutting everything and anything that is using any tiny bit of our internet.
Why are we doing that?
So that we can leave here before sunrise.
Push the button.
So application.
Wait, what time is it? What date is it?
It's 4:53 a.m. on November. What is it?
Thanksgiving.
Is this 27th?
28th now.
28th now. Thanksgiving. I'm gonna click this thing called submit. We're so tired. We don't even know what this does, but we're hoping it goes somewhere cool. So based on our internet speed, what's the estimated time that it's going to hit the Apple servers?
Maybe 2 hours.
It could
Not like I've ever shipped an iOS app before.
We had all this build-up and excitement to finally kind of cross the finish line.
So, you guys ready?
5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Camouflaj!
Incredibly pathetic upload speeds.
Speech!
It's been 750 some odd days since we started, and I just feel like we're just getting started, right? This is episode 1, and I'm really proud of what we submitted. I really appreciate everybody's hard work. It's been a really fun journey so far, and the game's crazy. I don't know what we're trying to do on these devices, and it's I hope that this is just the first of many really unique, kind of daring, risky, innovative kinds of projects that we do as a team. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Camouflaj!
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, okay.
Okay, so I don't have anything to say other than I love you guys. Every one of you. Every single one of you guys. So, I don't have much more else to say other than let's have some cake. And I adore and appreciate every single one of you guys. I'm not doing more than that.
We think they know.
It's pretty cool, yeah. People are probably playing the game right now.
People from around the world.
It's crazy.
Republique really didn't come together as a game, I think, until the last 3 months of development. It was not a fun game until like 3 months before we released episode 1. So when we put out episode 1 and it was met with a really warm, critical reception, like I was over the moon.
We were welcomed to this global feature across iPad, iPhone, across the world the week before Christmas.
Friends that barely even know I work in video games came up to me and they said, "Hey, I read about it like in the New York Times. I know about your game." Yeah, I know, I made that. For the next 2 weeks, you're gonna see it every time you open your iPhone in the App Store. It's like right there.
And that was the holiday season where premium games took a backseat to free-to-play.
Commercially, you know, it wasn't the success that I think that we hoped for. If we had released Republique episode 1 like 6 months before or a year before, I think it would have been more of a commercial success.
And so sure enough, we're just realizing now, okay, we're not gonna make as much money as we thought we were gonna do. We have far less budget to make episode 2. And in order to stay alive as a business, sure, it took us 2 years plus to make episode 1. We have 4 months to make episode 2. And so what we ended up doing was we dusted off our vertical slice.
And there's another direction.
We had episode 2 pretty far along, but we ended up kind of like kind of broke a lot of bones and reset them in terms of kind of story and the progression and what you were doing and like puzzles and stuff that weren't really there the first time around.
Episode 2 was crazy. We did not get to go to motion capture. So all the cinematics were hand-authored from old mocap shoots, which I actually learned really quickly how to take all of the mocap data we did in episode 1 into Motion Builder and chop, and reconfigure it into new cinematics for episode 2. It was that fast of a turnaround.
You know, a lot of it's kind of just like a blur a little bit, so it's so nuts. I was developing the game for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and then I still had also all the other crap that I was doing. Pseudo office manager, make us PCs and build desks. I was done with school at that point, and my partner, she was still in school, like a few hours away, and so like if I was going home, I was just going home to like play video games. Like it was kind of cool and it was fun. Had that like youthful energy. It also marked the start of when Ryan kind of asked me to take over for the VO, like schedule actors and figure out line counts and organize the scripts, like working with the story and like what was the actual like progression of the whole episode gonna be. So I started getting like more and more ingrained into like pretty high level stuff. There wasn't this like experience or like age like gap preventing me from doing that stuff, so it was pretty cool.
Episode 2, I think, is my favorite episode. It's the best demonstration of our creative vision from like an artistic, just visual perspective.
Beautiful space. We added a bunch of verticality and this sort of expansive vista and this new playground to play in.
This direction, where like there's obviously like an area that's wet and then it's trickling down to his hand, and then we can just like have that effect like drip from that point.
Somehow we made it, and I think honestly the only reason we were able to is we did have that mix of really young talent and some old veterans. So when I was about to pass out, because I didn't have any sugar in my system, Jeremy was able to prop me up and then carry me to the finish line.
He's just up these stairs.
Librarian! Librarian!
Oh no!
I think the character performances are fantastic. I think the story moments are fantastic. As a slice of Republique, I think it's the very best.
And in 4 months, I still can't believe we did this in 4 months. In 4 months, we shipped episode 2.
Okay. All right, guys. Have fun.
Episode 2's out.
We get the feature again.
After working so hard on episode 2, we were at the launch party.
It's Ryan's birthday.
On my iPhone, checking out episode 2, which has just gone live.
Zendesk just being full of people saying, I can't download episode 2, like it crashes, it like won't download, it's stuck at this %. What the hell is going on?
This was a terrible moment. One of our programmers, bless his heart, typed in, did not copy paste, typed in the URL that linked to episode 2. HTTP, not HTTPS, which was an error, which resulted in lots of people buying episode 2 and then one-starring it because they put money towards it, and rightfully so, being very upset that you couldn't actually play the game that they just purchased.
That's when it really became an issue of cash flow. I had told Ryan, it's like, this is never about profitability at this point, it's all about cash flow management. It doesn't matter if we're making money, we just actually need money so we can keep paying the bills. And so that got increasingly difficult.
We have to get out of here.
By the time we got to episode 3, I think we realized that Republic was never going to make enough money on iOS and Android to sustain the business and to get us all the way to the 5th and final episode. But we're also hearing from friends and advisors throughout the industry that, Ryan, Steam is blowing up.
And let's just do more than a simple port. Let's upgrade the game's engine from Unity 4 to Unity 5 and make this a really exciting visual experience for PC and Mac players.
Ryan's craftsmanship as businessman came out when he went to Unity. They were looking for good quality titles that showed off their technology.
Please, I need your help. I don't have much time. Did you do that? They're right there.
And so the more and more we were improving our game, the better it made Unity look. And so it was just a beautiful relationship that was based, I think, on mutual dependence to some degree. We really needed them and they really needed us.
It was a great mutual partnership and was also completely essential to us surviving as a business.
Unity had office space that they were not using. Why don't we do a deal? We had, Unity engineers, Unity artists, Unity animators that we could always go and just talk to.
Camouflaj!
Thus began the Herculean effort of stopping midway through the production of an ongoing game and make Republique Remastered.
We rebooted episode 3, which is why it took longer. I actually got to basically own a piece from like start to finish. So like empty Unity scene, like carving out like geo, iterating on it.
So we settled on this mouse and keyboard scheme, went around, had friends of the studio play test the game and give feedback. I felt confident about this being not only a good experience relative to mobile, but maybe even better. That I actually think is my preferred way to play the game.
The art team had to like redo a lot of the art content for all 3 episodes. All the environments and shipped like a really amazing looking episode 3 on PC. Well, episodes 1, 2, and 3 on PC.
Good evening, citizens of Metamorphosis. As we make our final preparations, we must be extra vigilant. Keep a watchful eye out for our Republic.
When we released what was then dubbed Republique Remastered on Steam, we were featured in the Steam store. But by that time, once again, we had arrived 6 months or something too late.
The indie apocalypse had already just taken over. It was on the front page of Steam for maybe 4 hours. We got smashed by a game that was just kind of like a weekend project, and it was kind of like the flavor of the day. We still have 11,000 Kickstarter backers that we've promised to deliver this content to, and we have at least another year or 2 of development ahead of us for the remaining 2 episodes. Which, by the way, at this time, I'm still not convinced that we're gonna finish this series. It was scary. And we don't have much money in the bank. And so I shifted my focus towards finding, for the first time, like a true publishing partner. And thankfully, we found a home with the Japanese publisher, Gung Ho. and they helped us fund episodes 4 and 5. I'm forever thankful for those guys to help us do that, and that's a great success story for us.
Episode 4 kind of aligns with this sort of, dark night of the soul of 3-act structure. It was sort of the low point for the character. And so we knew, not that it needed to be like visually radically different, but just that things had to get really, really bad for Hope and seem very, hopeless. How do we create the darkest chapter in the story of Republique?
It'll be the episode where you either like love it or hate it.
We kind of threw out the book a little bit on what the moment-to-moment gameplay was and a little bit what the story was, and like really just kind of threw a curveball for like basically the whole episode.
You're being stalked by this character called the Mammoth, who is basically hunting you down. Very much like a nemesis type character from Resident Evil.
Unlike the other episodes where every time you go into a new space, you're trying to see where all the guards are and see what their patrol routes are. You don't really know that at all because the Mammoth can come in and out of a space almost anywhere.
You follow the directive well. Thank you, sir.
Positions. Caitlin played Hope. I would be the Mammoth.
What? You come here, grab, pull. I punch you, and I punch you.
He was meant to be really super tall and slouchy. I'm a bit of a sloucher.
Speed. Slate.
Take 78.
Action.
My gate. Our gate. Yes, sir. You're right, sir.
Ted and I just kind of got to go like with whatever direction we wanted to.
The key. We can open it with the funny key. Thumbs up. The key. We can open it with the funny key.
Down. Move. Move.
Click. It fits. We won.
My gate. You broke the key. You broke the key in the lock. No, she did it. You make a mess of things. Yes, sir.
I had to learn all those scripts and hit marks, and that was hard.
What does the captain say? Clean garden, clean gardener, sir. Conscience, sir. What's the line? I can't remember it.
Pick this up. Yes, sir. Pick this up now. You know what the captain says. Clean garden, clean conscience, sir.
It's such a contrast to the guards just like, okay, back to your cell or whatever. By the time you hit episode 4, you've gone through the kind of normal gameplay loop a lot. And we wanted to kind of mix it up so that when you get into episode 5, you feel like refreshed on the gameplay.
Episode 5, it was a look back through the history of the game. We were going back through all the spaces you'd been in episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. We knew at the last episode we wanted to have connect all the pieces together.
So episode 5 gives you a kind of a stark choice. We've had sort of an angel and devil on our shoulders up to now, Mireille and Zager. Mireille represents the beautiful lie, and Zager represents the ugly truth.
No killing. We turn their hearts. Better yet, we turn them into hamburger. So, Pre-Cal, how do you and your friend want to do this?
There's 2 different paths. Like there's actually 2 episode 5s, each their own set of like cinematics and gameplay, and like they each have like unique mechanics that are only in one or the other. We went all out and we probably spent more than the money Gung Ho gave us. Like in true Camouflaj fashion, I don't think until recently we've been responsible about only spending the money that we get to make a certain thing.
We wanted to send the series off ourselves in the best way we could. And I think we're setting up our legacy, right? We wanted to say, even if this is not a commercial success, we're not going to give up on this game.
We had the partnership with Gung Ho and they were basically funding the rest of the development.
And have it all culminate into a final deliverable, which was bringing the game from episode 1 to episode 5 all together on PlayStation 4.
The first kind of creative logistical hurdle that we encountered as a team was, how are you going to control the game? When you play Republic, you are not controlling the character. You are directing the character. It's okay, you put a PlayStation 4 controller in the player's hands. Like, what are they doing? In spite of the fact that we were maybe going back on the fictional conceit, the best thing to do was to turn this into a conventionally controlled third-person stealth action game where you're directly controlling the character. Another issue became when you go into OmniView and you're hacking, like, we can't just let the player touch it. The solution that we ended up landing on, I think, was actually really elegant, but it took a ton of time to make sure that we were covering all our bases. I remember that being really, really difficult.
Being able to play Republique from beginning to end with sort of no episodic, chapter stops or waiting months between episodes or whatever.
Delivering on our original vision of the game.
It was the $64,000 question of like, is this going to feel like a cohesive story? And then when it did, I think we all just breathed a huge sigh of relief.
That was a really cool moment, actually being able to hold a disc in my hand of something that I'd worked on and been a lifelong dream of mine.
It was on my phone and it's cool, and I had the iPhone and I could like show it to folks and stuff, but like getting to have that disc was like awesome. It was something I'm really excited about.
Thanks for everybody for coming. Today is like really one of the most rewarding days, if not the most rewarding day of my entire career. This is a really important day for me, and I just want to really express all my thanks to you guys and all the time and effort you guys put into this game. Like your guys' DNA, your guys' fingerprints are all over this game, and that's what I see when I look at the game. Once I had that disc in my hand, that PlayStation 4 version, that was an incredible landmark. Not only for our staff, not only for their families, it's not only for me, but also for these Kickstarter backers that put all this money into the project back in 2012. I knew that I could carry that to all sorts of office spaces around the world at publishers or platforms and say, we're a real game studio and we can make real games.